Well, she's at it again. She is doubling down. Who am I talking about? Talking about J.K. Rowling. Um, I thought that she was going to be someone who would actually take some um, criticism and some education and would soften her blows, but she hasn't. She came out just a few days ago with another tweet and doubling down on it. In fact, even going a little further. Um, going to start with her tweet, and I'm going to give a little bit of lesson here as far as being transgender and being um, a youth going through the transition. And I am going to use citations, unlike she did. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start by showing you the tweet that she wrote. She writes, "Many, myself included, believe we are watching a new kind of conversion therapy for young gay people who are being set on a lifelong path of medicalization that may result in the loss of their fertility and or full sexual function." She added, "The long-term health risks of cross-sex hormones have been now been tracked over a lengthy period. These side effects are often minimized or denied by trans activists." First of all, zero citation in what she's written. Um, she she gave us no citation. She says many. Um, who does that sound like? Many believe. Um, so she first of all does not give us any citation for what she's saying. Um, Second, it goes exact opposite to what the peer-reviewed studies are saying about um, hormone therapy um, or they call it cross-sex hormone therapy, CSH. What she tweets is exactly counter to what is is written in peer-reviewed studies. So we're going to begin with that. The first thing that I want to talk about is I want to talk about cross-sex hormones and what they do. Um, Cross-sex hormone therapy has been shown to have positive physical and psychological effects on the transitioning individual and is considered a mainstay treatment for many patients. Bone and cardiovascular health are important considerations in transgender patients in long-term hormones, and care should be taken to monitor certain metabolic indices while patients are on cross-sex hormone therapy. The link to that study is underneath, and you'll be able to read the entire thing. Yes, there was a concern. This was in 2016, and there was a concern that that they might affect uh, cardiovascular and even bone density. Um, However, so as far as bone density goes, um, a quote from um, an article that was reviewing some studies. Delgado Reese et al. In 2019 says, considering the limitations of this systematic review, it was concluded that long-term cross-sex pharmacotherapy for trans women and trans men transgender patients does not alter the calcium phosphate, alkaline phosphate, phosphatus, and osteocalcin levels, and will slightly increase the bone formation in both trans women and trans men patients. Furthermore, long-term pharmacotherapy reduces the bone mass density in trans women patients. And when I read that study, it does reduce it, but it doesn't reduce it by much, but it does affect it. So that is something to consider, and it is definitely something to watch. But that's something that women have to watch anyway as they grow older. So it's a thing that women go through. Um, so um, that's basically, I think they were, when I was reading that, it looked like they were really studying adults more than they were teens. I wanted to read this from the AACC from 2019. Novel studies published in the Men's Health issue of AACCC's journal, Clinical Chemistry, suggest that hormone therapy for transgender people increases the risk of blood clots less than birth control pills and does not increase the risk of cardiovascular disease at all. These preliminary results could help more transgender individuals to access essential hormone therapy by increasing physician comfort with prescribing it. And and it even goes further, and I'm going to read this in a second. Um, I think that's an exciting piece of information to know. And these are from medical peer-reviewed studies. So you can basically essentially take this to the bank. So um, let me go further with this review. Um, all major medical associations agree that transgender individuals need to be able to express their gender in ways with which they feel comfortable, and that this is the most effective treatment for psychological distress caused by incongruence between sex assigned at birth and gender. For many transgender individuals, expressing their gender involves physically changing their body through medical steps, such as taking hormone therapy. However, transgender patients often experience difficulty getting hormone therapy prescriptions, to the point that 1 in 4 transgender women have to resort to illegally obtaining cross-sex hormones. Part of this is because existing research on transgender hormone therapy is limited and conflicting, which has led to some physicians denying patients this treatment out of concern that it could significantly increase the risk of health problems such as blood clots and cardiovascular disease. So, in other words, this particular study, and I'm going to put a link down below for this that will also give you a link to the study itself, actually says that that isn't a problem. It's not a major issue. It is something that should definitely be looked at, monitored, uh, but it's not important enough to keep a transgender person from taking cross-sex hormones. Um, and I think that's vitally important in this discussion, particularly since she seems to be dead set on the health and mental health and all of that of transgender, particularly youth. We're going to head into talking about gender dysphoria and its effects um, on the youth and what happens when they begin hormone therapy and that type of thing. Before I go forward, I want to do a little bit of a caveat here, because Rowling does talk a little bit about um, detransitioning, how she says many, she says most, she says a lot. Um, the percentage is very small, but there are teenagers who begin cross-sex hormone therapy, and particularly puberty blockers, and then they change their mind. However, the puberty blockers, they can they can stop taking the puberty blockers, and it's good. The doctors monitor them. Um, they go back into their gender assigned at birth, and um, if they have changed their mind and they really believe that they are not transgender, they can stop the hormone blockers, and it doesn't affect them. Um, it Not hormone blockers, but puberty blockers. So the puberty blockers are there before they begin the cross-sex hormone therapy, and it's kind of a it's actually like a second or third step, and what they have to go through before they even begin the puberty blockers is a long time of analyses that involve where their brain is, you know, why they feel the way they feel, how they feel, all of this stuff. It it really is intense what they have to go through. I only know from watching videos of a couple of my heroes, particularly Jammy Dodger, um, and what he went through when he transitioned, starting at 17, and he's now 27, and he went through he went through a lot before he could even begin the cross-sex hormone, and a lot more before he got top surgery, and even more before he got bottom surgery. So it's a huge process. They don't even begin the puberty blockers until the patient, the transgender person, is ready to say, I'm ready. And usually the median age is 15. Um, so they've already basically started puberty. I think the lowest age that I read is 12, um, but typically the median age is 15. So they go through a long time. Um, the studies that I've read, um, and they're linked below because they're all a part of this. So the studies that I've read, they begin um, somewhere between 8 and 12 years old. Um, that's where the kids figure out that they're probably transgender. So they go through a lot, and there are many. I think one study said that by the time they reach 12 or begin puberty, they change their mind. And I think it was like three quarters, but it's before puberty blockers even begin. Um, and those that begin the puberty blockers at 15, there are some, but that number drops drastically. The number that begin the puberty blocker and then change their mind to detransition, I believe the number was 1.6%, or maybe it was 0.16%. It was a hugely small number once they begin the puberty blocker. With the gender dysphoria, um, they they may grow out of it. Um, like the study said, about three quarters of them grow out of it before they begin the puberty blockers. So there's a huge, long process, and they don't even want to begin the puberty blocker until puberty begins. So it's not like an 8-year-old says, "Oh, I'm not a boy, I'm a girl," and they throw them on puberty blockers. No, they go through many years of living as a boy, transitioning socially before they begin transitioning with the hormone therapy. Um, so there's that to consider. All right, now I'm going to go into some citations. All right, so from an article, The Effect of Cross-Hormonal Treatment on Gender Dysphoria Individuals' Mental Health, a Systematic Review. Um, the link is down below, but I'm just going to read the conclusion. In conclusion, this review indicates that gender dysphoria-related mental distress may benefit from hormonal treatment intervention, suggesting a transient reaction to the non-satisfaction connected to the incongruent body image rather than a stable psychiatric comorbidity. In this perspective, timely hormonal treatment intervention represents a crucial issue in gender dysphoria individuals' mental health related outcome. All the medical and psychological mumbo jumbo I kind of understand, but I'm pretty sure you get the picture. Um, from this review, it's saying that based on the study that they were reviewing, it's good for a transgender person to go through hormone um, therapy. Um, so um, let me go further to affirming hormones and surgery in transgender children and adolescents. Again, down below, small amount of available data suggests that when clearly indicated in accordance with international guidelines, gender-affirming CHSs and chest wall masculinization in transgender males are associated with improvements in mental health and quality of life. Not only that, but it all stems down to the mental health of a child. And by child, I'm 55, so anyone under the age of 25 is a child to me. So, um, but there's there's suicidal ideology um, um, that runs prevalent in transgender youth, um, even transgender adults, uh, especially if they're not taking cross-sex hormone therapy to help them with their gender dysphoria. Um, and I have several friends who are transgender. I have watched videos and even taking um, cross-sex hormones and even having their top surgery or bottom surgery or any of that, they still have their they still have their times of um, gender dysphoria. It's much lessened, and if they're in an area, I read one. I don't have the citation for it, and I apologize for that. But I did read one study where it was actually done in Texas, and while it helped, it wasn't as strong as the study done in Amsterdam, where more accepted. It's more um, it's more common. It is not looked down upon as a sin. Um, so in Texas, of course, it's going to be a little more. It's going to be a more negative impact when they do transition. So where the study takes place also really affects the outcome, which is what that particular study did. All of this, by the way, I spent about 30 minutes looking it up. So if J.K. Rowling really is concerned about the youth, maybe she might want to do a Google search on transgender therapy and transitioning and look at what the real studies say rather than listening to the turfs or listening to some people who have absolutely no clue about what they're speaking. So let me go to a study, blocking puberty in transgender teens linked to lower likelihood of suicidal thoughts. The quote is, transgender teens who were able to receive treatments to suppress puberty were less likely to ever consider suicide, researchers found. High levels of anxiety and depression are common among transgender youth, and studies have found as many as 40% of transgender adults have ever attempted suicide. According to pubertal suppression for transgender youth and risk of suicidal ideation. And again, links in the bottom. So I need you to understand that I am absolutely disgusted at the fact that J.K. Rowling is doubling down, tripling down on this whole issue. She's now um, talking about how bad it is for kids. She's talking about conversion therapy for gay kids. It isn't conversion therapy for gay kids. It isn't a new conversion. What it is people are finally waking up to understand that kids know who they are when they're kids. And and to socially transition someone from the gender that they're assigned at birth to the gender to which they identify um, is important for the child so that the child can feel accepted within society and accepted within their their inner group, their loved ones. Um, it lowers their suicidal ideation. So it's very much something that is needed. It isn't conversion therapy. It's transition therapy, and it's to save them from their gender dysphoria. When they get into teen, when they get into their teen years and they begin puberty, there are many, like the study said, about 3/4 before the puberty blockers are even started. They may change and they may decide, oh, wait a minute, you know what? I do kind of like my body right now. And it isn't about them being gay. It's about them not comfortable with the body that they were given, that they were born with. They were born in the wrong body, but their gender is the opposite of how they were born. And we need to understand that. Children know who they are. I'm a gay man. I knew that I was gay when I was 5. We know who we are. Straight cisgender people know that they are straight cisgender when they are young. They want to kiss the girls. They want to hold hands with the boys. They want to they want to play with trucks and wear jeans and or they want to wear ribbons and bows and play with their Barbies. They identify with the bodies that they were born with. They are comfortable with that. There is no gender dysphoria. We need to understand that these children know who they are. And there might come a time around 8 or 9 when they are beginning to question. And there's nothing wrong with allowing a child to socially transition well before they begin cross sex hormone. Because there might come that time when puberty does begin where they're like, no, sorry, um, just kidding. Um, so that's an important factor to take in. But the real transition, for lack of a better word, the hormone therapy for the transition doesn't begin until years after the puberty blockers have been taken, and that's years after the social transitioning has begun, before puberty even begins. It's important to understand that this is a process that that begins with a lot of psychology, a lot of psyche valves, and and how they react and how society reacts to them and how they react to society reacting to them. So this is this is not a or not a fast process. It is not something we just start shoving pills down kids' throats. She is speaking out of ignorance. She is speaking out of um, fear, and it is sad that the author of one of the most famous and beautiful um, children's series ever um, would do something like this, that she would act as if there is something wrong with having a child be who they are. Um, so I'm going to leave it at that. Um, and I am not really sure how I feel right now about J.K. Rowling as far as her books go. I'm listening to the Harry Potter series on my audio book right now because I love the series. It makes me sad when I hear the story and I'm knowing that she is being so blatantly hateful um, and transphobic, and I just have to I just have to get past it. The reason being is that there are many that are involved with the Harry Potter world. Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, Eddie Redmayne, Warner Brothers. Um, um, Scholastic is a little iffy for me right now, but they've all um, come out against what J.K. Rowling is saying. So it's important that we try to educate her. And also, I have a difficult time with writing her off just now, um, mainly because I am such a fan of the Harry Potter series. Um, not a fan of her, but I'm a fan of the series. So maybe you may want to put in the comments how you feel about it. Should it be something that we just say, nope, sorry, you can't do it. Sorry, Joe, but your books are history. Um, or do we separate the author from the work and go from there? Um, at any rate, that is my rant against J.K. Rowling, and I hope to see you again. If you like this video and you wish to, click like. Um, I don't have that many subscribers. If you wish to subscribe, go ahead and do that. Um, and we will chat later sometime.